before we came on the air, we had a whole rundown of things that we wanted to talk about and all that. I think we could throw that out the window because there's a Twitter feud going on between Khabib Nurmagomedov and Cowboy Cerrone that really has something piqued my interest over the past 30 minutes or so.
So now fill me in here because I've been over at the station here, so I've been able to follow Twitter as closely as I wanted to. What's going on there?
Okay, so basically, as the news was reported, I believe yesterday, Tony Ferguson is out of the UFC on Fox 19 fight coming up on April next weekend, actually. Mm-hmm. And as I've said on this podcast before and on the show, thankfully now on sportsovertime.com, that was my fight of the year coming up, Ferguson Nurmagomedov. The dude, Khabib coming off of injury, Ferguson's been on a roll. It was going to be fight of the year potential. Ferguson has blood and fluid in his lungs right now, so he won't be fighting in next week. So that left Khabib without an opponent. So there's been a whole bunch of rumors going around. Showtime Pettis fighting Ferguson later on in May, a potential fight with Javier Dos Anjos in July, but that would never happen because Nurmagomedov would never fight during Ramadan. And then it looked like he was going to fight Cowboy Cerrone. But then Khabib went on Twitter, said that they signed a contract to fight Cerrone at 170 at a catchweight. And then he got hurt and pulled out 3 hours later after signing it. But
so now Cerrone got hurt and pulled out of the fight?
Yes, which would be the crudest justice in the world to a guy who's been out for literally 2 years due to injuries.
Yeah.
Ferguson goes out. That's the second time this fight didn't happen due to injury. And then Cowboy sees this on Twitter. 10 minutes later goes, "There's nothing wrong with me. Let me be very, very clear. I didn't pull out of a bleeping bleep thing." So Cowboy's saying he's not hurt and he's fine. Khabib saying, "I signed the contract. I'm just waiting for you." Cowboy says he already signed the contract. And Karen Bryant and the UFC Tonight crew are talking about a potential fight with Tony Ferguson in May when Cowboy's saying he already signed a contract. You can't make this up if you tried.
So has UFC made a statement on this at all?
No. They haven't touched this with a 10-foot pole because they probably have no idea what the hell is going on right now.
I would think they would at least have an idea of what's going on if contracts have been signed, right?
I think I don't know the deal if UFC Tonight is taped live or not.
Okay.
Because that's the key here because UFC Tonight, Ariel Helwani is now out, as we talked about last week. So it's essentially promotion for the UFC.
Gotcha.
They're running the show. That's part of the reason, and we'll talk about one of the particular reasons that Helwani may have been forced out later on in the show. We have really a lot of stuff. After missing last week due to scheduling conflicts, we have a lot of stuff to talk about. So I'm going to jump right in and say this. I think they realized Nurmagomedov's undefeated, as we know, 22-0. If Cowboy beats him at a catchweight, does that kill his momentum at all? And they realize, let's just book the fight that we wanted to and just wait a little bit longer with it?
Well, do you think they learned something from the Nate Diaz-Conor McGregor?
Oh, they wouldn't because they also booked Miesha Tate and Amanda Nunes for UFC 200, which we'll also talk about later. This is why there's too much going on. This is ridiculous.
So he said UFC world's out of control.
Yes, completely. So let me get your take on this. If right now we are recording, it's 10:35 Eastern time on a Wednesday night.
But see, we're not only recording, we are live.
Yes, we're recording and live. I got to get used to that. I feel good. It feels good to be on live radio again. Me with a live mic is a good thing and a bad thing. Trust me. But what's the best option here for the UFC? Is it a Cowboy Khabib fight to save the UFC on Fox card? It won't be the main event because they've already shrunk his fight if he does to 3 rounds, and Shogun and Rashad Evans will fight in the main event. Or is it we can do Ferguson and Nurmagomedov in May, or do you just shotgun him to a title shot in another month because he in a different month besides July because he won't fight during Ramadan. He's been very forceful in saying that. So what's the option here? If you're the UFC, what do you do?
I'm not fighting Cerrone. I'm not. I mean, not on an undercard fight.
So you don't want to save that card.
I mean, I don't know if you want to take that chance. I mean, I'm saying with that as far as him taking a chance of losing, because then you kind of, if he loses, it kind of destroys everything, doesn't it?
I mean, it does kill his invincibility, but again,
it's not like you're talking like Conor McGregor, where he was like, undefeated up to that point, taking on all challengers. Now this happens. Now you can, he's been out for 2 years. If he comes in and doesn't look good, you can't package that up and make it look all tidy.
No, because this is the catch-22 for fighters in these main event slots that where their opponent pulls out, like a John Jones, who we'll also talk about probably right after this.
It's become quite the epidemic.
There's already been, according to Mike Bowen of USA Today, MMA Junkie, there's a whole bunch of stuff. He said there's been 11 main or co-main event changes so far in 2016 due to injury, which is insane.
That's crazy.
It's absolutely insane. And from a fighter standpoint, why the hell would you take a new opponent 10 days from this fight? Especially somebody like Cowboy.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Somebody on the level of a Cowboy Cerrone. I mean, if you're taking, still, even somebody that's not known, can you get ready for somebody in 10 days? I guess you're thinking, yourself, you got a lot of, invincibility. You're very, you believe in yourself, I guess is what you're trying to say.
The thing is with that, people will point to John Jones. Oh, John Jones took the Vince St. Preux fight. Jones is going to have a month to prepare. Also, he backed out of a fight that had a pay-per-view canceled a while back, and Jones needs all the good publicity he can get with the stuff that's going on with him. Mm-hmm. So that's why I understand the Jones fight. And OSP is not Cowboy Cerrone to the light heavyweight division. No, I don't see that. That's a problem.
There's one thing that I disagree though with that fight, but that's beside the point.
Yeah, we'll get to that. There's so much to talk. I am very disappointed that we won't see Nurmagomedov and Ferguson a week and a half from now. We could see it in May at this point. I'm literally waiting for Twitter to update me on this story because
I think I'd rather see that than Cerrone and them getting 10 days to fight for each other. Although we always know Cerrone's ready to go. So.
Oh yeah, Cerrone wanted to fight this fight.
Like when you said
Patrick Cote.
Yeah, when you said he pulled out because of injury, I'm like, wait a minute. He flipped his truck, went to practice, and trained, and now he's pulling out of a fight. Really?
He just jumped out of an airplane, too, I think, this week.
So
that's not an exaggeration.
That's the cowboy lifestyle.
Yeah, it is the cowboy lifestyle.